And 3, 2, 1. Hey, that was actually pretty good. Great job, Jacob.
I clapped on like one, or like on. I did it way before.
$1 Million Radio back on the Zoom calls with Jacob. It is Skylar, and this is episode 18, I think, right?
Maybe 19. I don't know. But I just know today starts my cut.
And does it? I'm gonna get to a point where I can't count. We're gonna have so many episodes that I'm not gonna be able to count them all, and then I'm just gonna be spitballing up here, which is kind of what just happened. But
you're telling me we're not doing only 5 more episodes, and then we're calling it?
It's not the plan.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I didn't know if it was like a last dance.
The fans
like
want
Jordan and the Bulls. Michael Jordan and the Bulls last dance. Stop.
The fans want it, but no, we probably end up taking a break or something at some point. But yeah, so we are coming down to the end of the football season, Jacob, and we had a crazy day in the NFL yesterday. There's a lot that happened.
Yeah, so many playoff implications. It's cool to see that in the final week that so many of the Week 18 games mattered. You know, you don't see that all the time necessarily. I mean, you could argue the season wasn't the greatest, but also I do like some of the stuff that's happened with it. So I'm ready to get into some games. If you are.
Yeah, we saw my team lose yesterday to the Bears, first time since 2018, but it was kind of a throwaway game. You know, I was mad at some things that happened, including the loss to the Bears. But as far as the playoff implications go, it didn't mean a thing if we were to win or lose yesterday, since the Commanders beat the Cowboys on a last-second touchdown. That was a pretty good game as well. But we'll get to the Cowboys in a second too.
Actually, I actually didn't watch that game. I watched the Bengals win versus the Steelers, and I watched a little bit of that Miami and New York game.
Yeah,
and then also there was the Atlanta and Panthers game. Those were some good. And Joe Milton, baby.
Yeah, Joe Milton went off.
NFL starting debut. He was cooking.
Well, he did not get to start because they decided to start Drake May for one drive for whatever reason.
Contractual, maybe.
They took him out. So if anybody had a parlay of Drake May 1+ touchdown passes in a parlay, it did not cash because they didn't void it either, because he did end up playing in the game, but he got taken out after one drive. And so if you had that in any of your parlays, it did not cash. Speaking Milton, from experience.
I've not actually bet the past few weeks, but man, Joe Milton yesterday, he was cooking. I mean,
he was.
I've always thought his game was more suited to the NFL, especially if he got with like a good quarterback coach to help develop his accuracy a little bit, because he has all the physical aspects and traits that you'd want in a quarterback, but it's more just dialing in what he already has. And it seemed like yesterday he was on point. I mean, I know he's probably playing against the Buffalo's second or third string.
It was kind of like secondary. A preseason game.
Yeah,
it was like a preseason.
So I mean, he was lighting up like their bench and their third strings, but regardless, he is a rookie, and it's cool to see him out there actually doing good. I mean, he was like at least 10 for 10 when I was watching.
Yeah, at one point he was 10 for 10. He finished 22 of 29, 241 passing yards, 1 touchdown through the air, a 111.4 passer rating, and then 10 rushes, 16 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground. So
yeah.
He did lose a fumble.
It was a hell of a game by him, but honestly, it didn't have much implications with anything other than their number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if Gerard Mayo knew if he was getting fired or not, or what.
My opinion, my conspiracy is that Gerard Mayo knew that he was going to get fired regardless. And so he probably wanted to play Joe Milton for a good part of the year, never got a chance to, and so he's like, I'm going out, why not, put Joe Milton in there, and
he also could have been trying to sabotage the number 1 pick too.
Yeah, Yeah, that as well. But
Well, like a Brian Flores type deal.
and shout out to the Titans, losers yesterday, but winners overall, getting the first overall pick. And this draft is going to be in Green Bay next year. I don't know if you knew that or not. So
No, I didn't. That's cool.
it's going to be outside Lambeau Field.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans take Carson Beck.
Dude, all right, so we can get into it now. And I've mentioned this before, but the Titans are one of our two professional sports teams, not including the Predators. The Titans and the Grizzlies have never once had the hearts of Tennessee Vols fans. Tennessee Vols are the biggest team sports organization in the state, right? I think that's fair to say, obviously.
Yeah.
And the Titans have never done anything to keep the hearts of the Vols fans. Having Josh Dobbs for much of the season a few years ago, and then just cutting him after he almost led him to the playoffs. You draft Will Levis, a Kentucky quarterback who has proven that he's, just like he was in college. We didn't think he was anything at Kentucky, and I guess the Titans thought differently, but they're going to be looking for a quarterback probably. The Grizzlies draft Zach Edey. I mean, good for them.
He's actually been pretty good.
I know, but Vols fans hate Zach Edey. I think that's fair to say. But but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, and so like it would not surprise me at all if the Titans went out and drafted Carson Beck, first overall pick. That's what they do. That's what they do. That
would also be hilarious.
Imagine they're like, oh, we got the first round pick or first overall pick. Let's get Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders, and Dion steps in and he's like, nope, y'all ain't going there, because that's what they've said earlier in the football season. They said there's only a select few teams that they're going to allow them to be drafted to. So
I think he wants them to go to Atlanta or something,
Dallas, or one of those bigger names that actually could put a team together and have a shot at the playoffs. But
Dallas having a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I mean, they typically do make the playoffs every year and then choke in the first round or first game they play.
They're kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers, they kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, at least the Steelers have been to a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl, or they've been to two. They won one, lost to the Packers back in 2010. But at least the Steelers have a Super Bowl in recent memory over the last 15 years.
This millennia.
Yeah, yeah. But speaking of the Cowboys, what I was going to say earlier, Jacob, is I don't know if you knew this, but once Dak Prescott went down, Cooper Rush has been the starting quarterback for the back half of the season, and he had an incentive that it would have been, kind of hard to get to, but if he were to play 55% of the snaps throughout the whole season, which it looked like he might be able to accomplish with yesterday's game, he would have had a $500,000 bonus. So what does Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys do?
I think I can guess, but go ahead.
They start Trey Lance. For the first time all season, they put in Trey Lance, and 1, the Cowboys lose. 2, Cooper Rush does not get his bonus. And 3, the Cowboys ain't ever going to be anything as long as Jerry Jones is still the owner.
That's true. That is way, way true. Too true.
This is what the Cowboys do. This is what Jerry Jones does. And as long as he's running, I mean, it's just going to be, that's the type of stuff that you get bad karma from.
Mm-hmm.
A guy puts it out on the line, starts for you for the back half of the season, has an incentive where he can get a bonus, which $500,000 is a lot of money to even, football players, but it's not like the most amount of money. It's not like Jerry Jones was going to be hurting giving out $500,000 more dollars, but the fact that he was like, nah, let's see what we got with Trey Lance after he hasn't played a game since we traded for him last year. Let's see what we got.
What a joke. And isn't his son, or is it going to stay in the family, right? The way the ownership's going to work?
I'm sure it would. That's kind of, that's how the Bears are too. The Bears, I think his name's George McCaskey, bought the team initially for $100 way back when, and now it's $1 billion industry probably.
$100?
Yeah, $100. I mean, it's back in like the 1920s or
That's
$100 though. Yeah. Of course, the NFL wasn't as big as it was back then, but it's
that may be one of the greatest return on investment.
I was about to say the ROI definitely up there.
Wow, that's insane. Cowboys, they're going to cowboy. It is what it is. Commanders kicked their ass yesterday on that last second touchdown, you said, and ready for Jaden Daniels to be in the playoffs. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So the Packers were losers yesterday, on and off the field, I guess you could say. The Commanders won their game, so we could not move up to the 6th seed. We got locked into the 7th seed, regardless, win or lose. But the streak against the Bears ends. First time since 2018 that we've lost to the Chicago Bears. Jordan Love now has a loss. But at the same time, again, it kind of felt more like a preseason game. After midway through the second quarter, we see Christian Watson go down. He blew out his knee. It is a suspected ACL injury, which obviously sucks for him, but even more so at this point of the year, who knows if he'll be able, if it is an ACL injury, who knows if he'll be able to get back going in time for the start of next season, which is also a contract year for Christian Watson, a prove-it year next year to see if Green Bay is going to, sign him to an extension or give him a new contract. But that sucks for him. Christian Watson is my favorite player behind Jordan Love on the Green Bay Packers. Hate to see him go down. He struggled with injuries since his college days. He's had hamstring problems. They went to a specialist at the University of Wisconsin over the offseason and seemingly got his hamstring all fixed up and working well. And then this season, he's rolled a couple ankles and had a knee injury that Jacob, he was coming off of. He shouldn't have even played in this game. And they decided to trot him out there in what ended up being a meaningless game. And he essentially blows his ACL. So, and then
that was a non-contact, right?
Yeah, he was just running a route and went down. And immediately, even Chicago players were calling over to the sideline. But and then 2 plays later, Jordan Love hurts his pinky finger on his throwing hand. So he doesn't come back in. They take Josh Jacobs out. And so Malik Willis almost led them to a comeback. Well, he did lead them to a comeback win or a comeback. And then much like the first game with Chicago earlier in the year, came down to a Cairo Santos field goal. The first game, we blocked the field goal and won. But yesterday, we weren't so lucky, and he knocked it right through the uprights to win the game. So the Bears won their Super Bowl. Packers lost big time yesterday, even though it really didn't mean anything other than the streak. But Jordan Love going down, Christian Watson definitely going to be out for the playoffs. I don't think Jordan Love's going to be, I think he'll be ready to go this week. I don't think it was anything major, but it does set up for an interesting matchup as the playoffs are now set in the NFL. The Packers are the 7th seed going to Philadelphia on the NFC side of the bracket. We've got Washington at the 6th seed going to the NFC South champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then the big game last night, the Lions absolutely dog-walked the Vikings.
Belt to ass, baby. That's how they did it last night.
And so
it's crazy how much that one game had so many implications, because the winner of that game would have been number 1 seed with the bye.
Yeah.
And now Vikings lost, and they have to go to
the LA Rams, 5 seed, traveling to the 4 seed. And so the Minnesota Vikings finished 14-3 on the whole year and are essentially going to be on the road through the whole playoffs in the NFC. So that's pretty crazy. But so we got the Packers, Eagles, Commanders, Bucks, Vikings, Rams on the NFC side. On the AFC side, the Denver Broncos demolished the Kansas City Chiefs backups yesterday, 38-0. So they lock up the 7th seed. They're going to be on the road against the Buffalo Bills. The Pittsburgh Steelers lose to the Bengals, which didn't mean much for Cincinnati since Denver won. The Steelers are going to be on the road against the Baltimore Ravens in an NFC North or AFC North matchup. And then the LA Chargers lock up the 5th seed going on the road to a banged up Houston Texans team. So
definitely been more of a down year for the Texans, and they still made the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's been an up and down year for Houston. But I mean, you put
CJ Stroud has his sophomore slump, but he also doesn't have much people to throw it to because of injuries.
You put the Packers in AFC South, NFC South type of division where number one and get a home game for the first round or two. But with the way the NFC North has been this year, it's just been a juggernaut. So that sets up our games for this weekend. We've got the Chargers at the Texans. That'll kick off 4:30 Eastern on Saturday. That'll be one of 2 games on Saturday. The Chargers on the road, -2.5 favorites. And like I said, the Texans are battling some injuries. But -2.5, over under 43.5. Chargers at Texans. I'm probably going to take Jim Harbaugh and the LA Chargers.
I'm in the same boat as you. I think that they take that one. I think the Texans are too injured, and CJ Stroud, he'll come back next year looking better, probably.
Yeah, Texans will be a team to look out for next year, but I just think their season's coming to an end this weekend. And then Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, we have the Steelers at the Ravens. Baltimore -9.5 point favorites, over under 45.5. Baltimore looks like a wagon right now, Jacob.
They are awesome. Give me Baltimore in that, man, because Steelers have gone out and lost, their last 3 or 4?
They've lost 4 in a row going into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's especially with the Bengals just beating them in that last minute. And Baltimore has beaten the Bengals twice this year. So even though that doesn't always translate, I just think that Baltimore is the better team and that they're on a hot streak right now. They're on a roll.
I agree. I just feel like 9.5 is too many points. So I'll probably take the Steelers plus 9.5. I might buy it down to 10.5 just to make sure. Not that that's, a lock or anything, but I'll still take the Ravens to win and move on. And the Steelers hopefully cover 10 points. And then we kick off Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock. It'll be the Broncos at the Bills. Buffalo -8.5 point favorites, over under 47.5.
Yeah, give me the Bills, man. Josh Allen, he's made a great MVP case this year. I don't think he gets the MVP. I think Lamar has a better season. But regardless, they've locked up the 2 seed. He's led them to that point. They're the only team besides the Broncos yesterday to beat the number 1 Kansas City Chiefs. I think that the Buffalo Bills go and they beat the Broncos, and then I think they beat Kansas City in the divisional.
So that will be Sunday afternoon. Then at 4:30 on Sunday, the Packers play at the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, Philly looks like they're 4.5 point favorites, over under 46.5. 84% of the money, 78% of the bets are on the Philadelphia Eagles. I hope we win. Now I know Green Bay and Philadelphia, they met in Brazil. Yeah,
week 1. Did they meet another time?
No, that was the only time they've played. Green Bay has 4 losses on the 5 losses on the year now after Chicago. But so we lost to the Bears. We lost twice to the Lions, lost twice to the Vikings, and lost week 1 against the Eagles. And that was a game Jordan Love got hurt. We had Malik Willis come in for one last play or 1 or 2 plays there at the end of the game. So we lost by I think it was 2 points. But
how are you feeling as a Green Bay fan going into the playoffs?
I was feeling good last week. This week, not as good.
Why? Because of injuries?
Yeah, kind of seeing Christian Watson go down how he did, knowing he's not going to be available, seeing some of the bad coaching decisions we had yesterday at the end. Like, we kicked a field goal with 50 seconds to go up by 1 point. And then instead of letting the time run out before we kick a field goal, because we could have gave them the ball with the lead, or us have the lead, give Chicago the ball with like 20 seconds left, but we call a timeout after our last play and don't let the clock run off.
How far was the field goal too?
It was 55 yards, but I mean, he hit it right down the middle. Brandon McManus has been a dog for us. We hadn't had
a huge field goal.
We haven't had a reliable field goal kicker in years with Green Bay.
At least 2 seasons.
Yeah,
right?
at least 2 since we had Mason Crosby. But McManus has stepped up big time this year. We've won at least 2 or 3 games because of him. Should have won yesterday, but we call a timeout and don't let an extra 30 seconds run off the clock, and that ends up being the game. Chicago had just enough time to get in field goal range and knock it through. But yeah, going into this game, I think Jordan Love will be okay. I don't think there will be anything that will hinder him this week. Other than his pinky might, be hurting him a little bit, but I don't think that'd be, holding him back much at all. But yeah, 4.5 points. I think the line in week 1 in Brazil at a neutral site was 3 points in week 1, but 2 completely different teams at this point in the season, as most teams typically are. But I don't feel as confident as I did last week, but at the same time, Green Bay was a 7th seed last year. They got hot towards the end of the season and ended up going to Dallas to beat just steamroll the Cowboys and almost beat the number 1 seed 49ers the week after. I think this Green Bay team is better than we were last year, but at the same time, I think Philadelphia is a more daunting opponent than the Cowboys were last year.
Yeah.
The Cowboys typically are a team that when they get in a spot like this, they play not to lose, and I don't think the Eagles are at all that same caliber of a team. I think they're probably a lot more secure with who they are as a team.
Yeah.
So,
I guess this year, last year they had that crumbling.
Yeah.
But this year they do look a lot better. But honestly, I feel like if y'all can put 2 or 3 good drives together and get like an early lead versus the Eagles, I don't know if they have the guts to punch back like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts.
I know that's easier said than done, obviously.
And Jalen Hurts is he's one of those players that when the lights get pretty bright, he might not be the type to step up. He can, but we'll see if he does.
He just stays so cool, calm, and collected that it may not matter if y'all lose, if he loses or not. He's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I do like him though. I do like Jalen Hurts a lot.
But that'll be Sunday afternoon. Going into Sunday night, 8 o'clock kickoff will be the Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay minus 3-point favorites. 64% of the money, 65% of the bets are on Washington to cover the points +3, over under 50.5. Give me Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win.
That's fair, but they've had such an up and down season.
They have. I like the Buccaneers defense so much more than I like the Commanders defense.
That's fair.
They're basically Swiss cheese out there. Jaden Daniels is a dog. Their offense is very good, but I think the Buccaneers will be able to stop them more than Washington will be able to stop Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and rookie Bucky Irving, who's a running back who's had a great year, a great rookie season. So I don't know.
I like Baker Mayfield in this matchup too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to lay the points or not, but I like Tampa Bay to win. And then we'll have one Monday night football game. That'll be the Vikings at the Rams next week. It'll be Minnesota minus 2.5 point favorites on the road, 47.5 over under. I will say the Rams and the Chargers, anytime they have a home game, is 9 times out of 10 more like an away game. So I don't know if the points are, skewed in any type of home field advantage for the Rams. And, it's in a dome, so the Vikings are used to that. I'll take the Vikings minus 2.5 in this one.
I just don't know if I can count Matthew Stafford out.
Very true. Very true. Matt Stafford.
I don't know if I can do that.
Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp,
this is the same Rams team that beat the hell out of the Bills.
Yeah, but
don't know.
I will say this:
it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good game. It's a 5-4 seed, so I don't think it's gonna be one lopsided.
This is what the Vikings do, and I'm going to change my pick now that I think about this a little bit more. This is what the Vikings do. They might have a pretty good year, get to the playoffs, and then they choke. They've never won a Super Bowl. They have only been to the NFC Championship, I think, once since in recent memory when they lost to the Saints. They had Brett Favre at quarterback.
They're across the field.
Yeah. I'm going to buy a point and give me the Rams plus 3.5.
Wow. Well, I just can't count Matthew Stafford out.
No, I agree.
like him. That's just the way I think about it.
No,
If you have such a good quarterback, I get it's a team sport, but he's the type of quarterback that can will a team to win, in my opinion. He's done it before. So.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so basically, I just think that whoever wins, whoever comes out and they're gonna have to face the Lions, I think the Lions are gonna make the Super Bowl. Obviously they have to get past the divisional round and everything, but it's set up very well for the Lions to win, and it's been such a great season. They deserve it. They've beat most people's ass this year.
A team to look out for. They've got a great defense, and as they always say, defense wins championships. They've got a good enough offense to contend with anybody. The Chargers. Look out for the Chargers. I'm sure they'll beat the Texans, and if they get past Houston, who knows who they'll...
I don't think they're beating Lamar, though. They may, but damn.
It'll just depend on who they have to face the week after, but I'm not saying they're going to, go all the way to the Super Bowl, but they're going to be a team that is going to be tough to beat, I would say,
it'll require
in the AFC.
It'll require some will.
Yeah. So who else do you have making the Super Bowl? Who's your Super Bowl matchup?
I would love to see a Lamar versus Goff Super Bowl, personally. But who do I think? I'm tossed between the Bills and the Ravens. I'm not saying the Chiefs won't make it. They've had some weird, whack, black magic shit this year happen, and I hate to see that happen. I do not want them to make it. They may, but I think it's either the Bills or the Ravens coming out of the AFC, and then I just think Detroit makes it. I think they probably have. I think, no offense, I think Green Bay loses. I think they have a relatively close game with the Eagles, and then after that, they just. I think they have a pretty easy route at that point.
Yeah. Out of the AFC, I'm going to take the Bills, and out of the NFC, I'm going to say whoever wins the Packers and Eagles game. I think that would be. I think if
Dan Campbell out,
I think if Green Bay gets another shot at Detroit or Minnesota, I think we win that game. But like I said, it's going to be a tough task to go to Philly and win in the Link at any point in the season. But they're going to be
tough for any winner to go to Detroit and get a win.
No, I agree, but I think the Eagles, they've got a great defense, and you got Saquon, you got Jalen. They're just so big. And
did you see Goff's turnovers yesterday?
Yeah.
That was kind of crazy.
Yeah, but the Lions defense held them out of the end zone just about every time. But the Eagles, they got A.J. Brown on the outside, Devontae Smith. Their defense is real good. It'll be a tough
Goff
task.
is not dynamic. He's not like a scrambler or anything.
Yeah.
So,
but they have some of the best play calling out of anybody. The Vikings and the Lions offense. And what we see every week with the Lions is they win by going for it on fourth down. It doesn't matter if they go for it on fourth down and get a touchdown like we saw last night, or if it's early in the drive and they just keep the chains moving, keep it going. Whenever they convert these fourth down plays, it's so demoralizing for the whatever defense they're playing. But
y'all were a victim of it, and that's probably my favorite play this year, going for it on 4th and 1 when you can kick the field goal.
Yeah.
And Goff, falling over on his knee, handing it off. Like, I thought that was just a crazy play. And like Dan Campbell getting in the locker room afterwards saying he's had a plan for them this entire time. I mean, you just can't not like this team,
Yeah.
So,
but
I agree with you.
Yeah. So that'll do it for the NFL portion. We've got the playoffs this week. Looking forward to it. A lot of big games all weekend. But we got 2 games coming up this week in the college ranks, and we'll get to that here in just 1 second. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Apparently, word just got to me that Jacob's video recording was not working. We had some issues with that, but it looks like they are resolved. So welcome in, Jacob Fine, everybody. Yeah.
Hey,
Pretty boy.
We could have redone that segment before, but I just feel like we captured
killed
some
that
good audio.
shit. Yeah,
we had some
killed
good
that.
audio. So want to be authentic the first time that we said it.
Yeah. But looking into the college football playoffs now, we got 2 games this week. One Thursday night, one Friday night. And we're down to 4 teams, Jacob. Are these the 4 teams that you expected going into the playoffs that would be contending for a spot in the Natty?
Yeah, no, not really, if I'm being honest. No.
Yeah.
What about you?
Not necessarily, but kind of at the same time.
It's hard to articulate. I guess the point is to play it off, right?
I would have thought that Oregon might be able to beat Ohio State. That turned out to be not the case.
Worse than us, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was 34-0 in the first half, as opposed to 21-10. Does that mean Tennessee could beat Oregon? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we got Ohio State at Texas. That'll be Friday night. Thursday night will be Notre Dame at Penn State. This does bring up a question, though, Jacob. Do you actually want that first round bye? Because every team that had the first round bye lost. 2 of them were Arizona State and Boise State, who were kind of, everybody figured they would not be able to advance. But then you got Oregon and who's the other one? Mine's going blank.
Well, you had
Georgia.
Yeah.
Oregon and Georgia both lost as well.
I don't know, Scholar, if it's as much of a first round bye as it is just a seeding thing. I think the seeding issue that they put on there was that they put all the conference champions when they should just if they'd put the 4 best teams in there, based on like a committee decision and all that stuff with a little bit more articulation behind it, and like nuance and stuff like that, I think the seeding would have been different. And I think that would have caused some different outcomes for first round buys, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And I also think that, I think I've said this before, but I think the playoff committee, this college football playoff bracket setup should kind of go like the NFL does, where, the lowest seed plays the highest seed. Not necessarily a reseeding, every round of who's the best, but because that would just be like making a new playoff ranking every week. But it should be more like number 1 plays number 7, number 2 plays number 6, kind of like that, where the highest seed that remains plays the lowest seed that remains, and then you kind of fill it out in between.
Any buys?
Well, yeah, you get the bye in the first round, but it shouldn't be Oregon having to play Ohio State. It should have been Oregon plays Arizona State or, something like that. Because Oregon got the shit end of the stick out of everybody, 100%.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, so this week we got Notre Dame and Penn State, number 5 against number 4. Notre Dame -1.5 point favorites. Jacob, I feel like these two teams are identical in so many ways. I think
how do you think that?
Just the size they have up front. The quarterbacks are very similar. Their running backs are very similar as well. Both of them have good defense. And both of these teams want to knock the hell out of each other. So,
yeah.
Who do you have in this game?
Honestly, Notre Dame probably, I would think, but it's just so close to. I think Notre Dame probably takes it though.
Yeah, no,
I don't think James Franklin is going to be able to make a halftime adjustment if he needs to.
I'm leaning the same way. I feel like Notre Dame is going to advance to the national championship game over under 45.5. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game like that.
No, yeah. It may be like more of a slugfest, defensive game. But I just think Notre Dame pulls it off. I think the quarterback situation at Penn State is better, but Notre Dame as a whole, like their defense, I think that's just too much for Penn State to adjust.
Yeah. No, I agree. James Franklin in big games, I don't think that the first 2 games of the playoffs, much like Texas, I don't think that they've really been challenged much. Boise State made it a game there for a little bit in the second half, but what was it, 31-14? That was the final. Penn State hadn't really been challenged since the conference championship game when they lost to Oregon. But ultimately, Jacob, I don't think it matters who wins this game because Ohio State is going to be the national champions, as much as I hate to say it.
Me too. I hate it. It irks me. I'm going to think about it at night rent-free. But they have a lot of talent. They have Jeremiah Smith. Literally all Will Howard has to do is throw it up to Jeremiah Smith, and he's going to get it somehow.
Yeah.
Which that's a great situation to be in, but it makes him look a lot better too. And I'm not saying he's not a bad quarterback at all. He's really good, but he literally just has to throw it up, and Jeremiah Smith is going to grab it. You said Texas wasn't challenged. I think Texas was challenged. I think they challenged themselves more than anything. How do you go up 24 to 8 versus Arizona State, and all of a sudden you're letting Cam Scatterbo throw a 40 to 50 yard bomb on you on 4th down and 10? I think. I mean, it's insane how much they let these games get close.
Yeah, no, I'm saying they were challenged at the end of the game, but they weren't challenged in the draw that they had in the fact that they played a Clemson team who ended up making it a game there for a little bit, but Texas still covered 11.5, won by 14, and then they went on to play Arizona State. I think the line for that one was 12.5 or 13.5. And it looked like they were going to cover easily there at the beginning of the game. And then just let this Arizona State team, they couldn't put them away. They kept punching back, and ended up forcing overtime. When in the third quarter, though, Arizona State got a field goal blocked, but it ended up hitting the ground and going through the uprights.
What?
Did you not see that?
No. I wish I watched the whole game, but I did not see that.
There was a point in the third quarter, Arizona State kicked a field goal. It was blocked, but then bounced on the ground and went through the goalpost. They counted it as a missed field goal. Did not give them any points, but Twitter went to work and found the rule that said, in that situation, that field goal is considered good. So, like, if he were to have kicked it and it just missed everything, wasn't blocked or anything, and then hit the ground, it's ruled dead. But whenever somebody puts a hand on it, and then it hits the ground and still goes in, which I've never seen before. Like, it was kind of crazy just to see in general. But in that instance, the field goal is supposed to be considered good. And not to say that, Texas wouldn't have come back and still tied it at the end of the game, but that would have given Arizona State three more points.
Burt Auburn, though, or what was his name? Burt Auburn, right?
Yeah, but
he had a hell of a game.
This brought up a point that I've seen online where these playoffs are determined by the playoff committee. They can advance whoever they want. And people were trying to petition the ruling of Texas winning when Arizona State should have been given 3 more points. And it made it apparent that, if they wanted to, they could advance a loser at the end of the day. They don't have to advance the winners of each of these games, which they're not going to do, hopefully. But yeah, it's just a new world we live in, Jacob.
I agree. I just wish that the reffing was way more consistent. I mean, if you have a field goal like that was supposed to count, you have a missed targeting call. Hell, even for Arizona State, there was a play where the dude grabbed Cam Scattaboo and pulled him into the end zone. I don't think that's allowed.
Yeah.
There needs to be more consistency. And I'm not saying you need to call more stuff necessarily. I hate when games get into that kind of matchup. But it's just, you got to tighten up, I think. They say NIL is ruining the sport. I think it's bad officiating, if anything.
Yeah, but that sets up our game Friday night, 7:30 kickoff Eastern time. -5.5, the Ohio State Buckeyes against the Texas Longhorns. Buckeyes favored over under 53.5. This line opened up at 6.5 and has moved to 5.5. Not exactly sure why that is, but I'll take Ohio State with the points. Texas is good, but they let teams that are lesser than them come in and can't put them away. Ohio State has not had that problem.
I think if Ohio State were to play Arizona State, it would have been probably 50-0. I mean, that's a little dramatic. I get it, but you get what I'm saying.
It was almost 50-0 against Oregon.
That's what exactly. I don't think that. I think someone said Steve Sarkisian keeps playing with his food instead of eating it.
Yeah,
and that makes sense.
And again, this is another matchup for Ohio State where they're playing. Ohio State has the most expensive roster. They're playing another team that's in the top 3 or 4. Oregon, I think, was ranked number 2 in that category. Texas is either 3 or 4, and
I've heard Texas has 23 invested.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I mean,
Ohio State with 25, Texas with over 20. So it'll be interesting to see, but I don't think Texas overall is nearly as good of a team. They do have a really good defense, but like you said, they let Cam Scattaboo do whatever he wanted, and we're lucky to come away with a win in double overtime. So
Cam Scattaboo's the MVP of that game, and he upped his draft stock way more. Maybe Tennessee Titans will take him.
Yeah. I didn't realize how short he was. He's 5'8". No.
He saw it off, dude. But he's a badass for sure. I wouldn't want to f with him.
Yeah, so if we take a look at the championship winner odds on FanDuel, Ohio State is now -125 as the odds-on favorite. Notre Dame is +430, Texas +460, and Penn State an even 500 to win the national.
I don't think anyone wants to see a Penn State, Ohio State national championship. I mean, that's just an SEC guy talking.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to see, because Oregon won the Big Ten championship, and we're going to have a national championship of Ohio State and Penn State. So that's just weird to see. But that's what these playoffs do, you win in advance. But
yeah,
I would much rather see the Ohio State Notre Dame matchup. Not that I want to see either of those teams in the playoffs, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Well, Ryan Day's fighting for his job, so I mean, I do think they're going to win it all, which is cool. I mean, I think Ohio State fans will be happy with that, but they'll also write it off. Hey, you need to beat Michigan.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about Ohio State's predicament is that in the Buckeye fans' eyes, they're gonna see a national championship team with an asterisk that they lost to Michigan as 20-point favorites at home. So
yeah. How did Michigan pull it off, man? It was more Ohio State beating themselves, playing a running game rather than doing what they're doing now and just throwing it on the perimeter.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being on the coaches that they lost that game for sure. Because I mean, they've proven it that they play how they should play and dominate everybody, but they change up the game plan against your biggest rival, a team that you hadn't beaten 3 years. And now it's 4 years because of how you went about the game plan.
Gotten a little bit of an ego battle, saying, "Hey, I'm going to beat you how you play," rather than just winning. Just win. That's all fans want. They don't care how you do it. They just want to win. Well, sometimes they do care about how you do it, but you get what I'm saying. They want to see a W next to it. They don't want to see this whole season with a playoff and a national championship, but then they have to look over the L next to versus Michigan at home. They don't want to see that. They don't.
Yeah. So I've got Notre Dame and Ohio State. Are you the same?
I'm the same. Yeah. I wouldn't have been the same at the beginning of the playoff. Ohio State hit the biggest hot streak I've ever seen.
Yeah.
No, they look unstoppable.
They're looking crazy. But
they're very talented, and it seems like them and LSU always seem to have the most generationally gifted receivers.
Yeah. No, they definitely know how to recruit that side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So that is gonna be what we're looking forward to this week in the college football playoffs.
Tuesday, baby.
We got Notre Dame and Penn State, then Ohio State and Texas. But yeah, like you said, Tuesday night we've got a big one. Tennessee's still number one, beat Arkansas by 20.
Yeah, for sure.
Felix Okpara made Jonas Adu look like a scrub, and it's
kind of is.
But
I'm not. You definitely beat me 1-on-1. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I'm not.
I'm just. But relatively, we're. I always thought he was soft, and I'm speaking in terms of college basketball. I mean, in that Purdue game last year, he disappeared completely versus Zach Edey and everything. I get Zach Edey 7'4", but JP Estrella came in and looked like a badass next to him. He's getting lobs from Connect. He was honestly putting a good body on him. And Adu just disappeared, man. I don't know what the hell was wrong with him, but I'm honestly glad to see him at Arkansas with a used car salesman as a head coach. He came in, he missed both his free throws. He got booed like crazy. What, he have like 4 points and 5 rebounds? I mean,
it wasn't much.
It literally not much you missed. And I hope he excels wherever he goes, but I'm so glad to see that Tennessee is better. You know,
yeah.
Our big men are better. Igor Milicic yesterday, what do you have, like 18 or 19 boards? He was hitting
career
threes.
High. Yeah.
He hit a really deep three too, which it's important to get his ass going because he's been on a bit of a slump. A big part of his recruiting process was that this dude was like a 6'9" shooter. He looks really tall.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head though. Jonas Adu, 4 points, 5 rebounds. We were led by, once again, Chaz Lanier, 29 points. Zakai Ziegler had 12, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. Felix Okpara with 10 points and 4 rebounds. And then Igor Milicic Jr., 13 points, 5 assists, 18 rebounds on the night. Jordan Gainey with 7 big points there towards the end. But Chaz Lanier, we're gonna be showing our hand with him tomorrow night at Florida. It's number 1 at number 6. Vols at the Gators. Gators, the favorites, -1.5. So basically a pick'em game. Over under 148.5. Yeah, I may put an emotional hedge on Florida money line just in case we don't win this game. But Tennessee 14-0, first time since the 1922 and 23 season that we started out 14-0. looking to make it 15-0 in the Swamp, but it's going to be a tough game. It's always tough to play in Florida.
Yeah, any sport Tennessee plays Florida in is difficult, man. We could be. I've always said that our Tennessee football team, we could have a great dominant year like how we kind of did this year, and Florida have a down year. And if they're like 2-10 or 2-8, just say, one of those losses would be, one of those wins would be from us.
Yeah.
And so, basketball is the same.
We need to come out, hit our shots. We need to play physical down low. Florida's got some dudes that can shoot the three. They did lose to Kentucky for their first loss of the season on Saturday. So they're coming off a loss. We're coming off 14 straight wins to start the season. And it's going to be interesting to see what we can do tomorrow night for sure.
Yeah. And I think our toughest road environment was Illinois. And a lot of people kind of discounted that at the time. But if you look, Illinois just beat Oregon really bad at Oregon too. And I think they scored like 109 points or so. So our wins are looking really good so far. It's just this is going to be one, especially going into conference play, that is going to be a prove it factor. If we go and we beat Florida at their home, I mean, there's no denying that we're the number one seed. A lot of people have been complaining that Auburn is not the number one seed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Tennessee has 14 wins. The only real test was that game at Illinois. So I see what people are saying, but you're undefeated. We're the only undefeated team in the whole country as of Monday, January 6th. But we got a tough one tomorrow night, and it'll be interesting to see if we can pull it out or not. And if we do, then I think that's undeniable for sure.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, let's go, baby. Go Vols, baby.
Go Vols, Tuesday night at Florida. And then we've got Saturday. We are at Texas, a 6 o'clock tip-off, or is that 7? No, 6 o'clock Eastern time.
Rick Barnes returning, baby.
Yep. It'll be his second time returning to Texas with the Vols. Lines aren't up for that game or anything like that, but Texas is unranked. Let's see what their record is. Not showing me. But anyways, that'll be a 2 tough road tests here this week. And if the Vols somehow are still undefeated by the end of Saturday night, then I will be putting a ticket on Tennessee future national champions. So
I hope so. God, I'd hope so. But it wouldn't hurt us to lose a close one, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think we're ending this season undefeated by any stretch of the imagination, but who knows?
What did I say at the beginning of the year before it started? What did I say? We have a better team all around. We just didn't know the X factor, but it seems like Chaz is that guy. I'm still waiting. I mean, he's had a good amount of staple performances, but he needs a staple win, and I think that could come on Tuesday, tomorrow. I mean, we'll see.
Even in the Illinois game, he fouled out. Zakai Ziegler fouled out, and it was Jordan Gainey that put the team on his back. And so we got so many guys. We got so many guys that can win us a game on any given night. But we'd love to see that come from Chaz Lanier.
Yes.
Like we saw from Dalton Connect many times last year.
Yeah. So yeah, I think their averages are pretty similar, and their shooting splits are relatively similar to the same point as it was in the season.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait.
But yeah, a big week of sports coming up. We've got the Vols tomorrow night. Then we've got 2 NCAA college football playoff semifinal games later on this week. And then that gets us ready for the NFL playoffs in the wild card round. A lot to look forward to this week, Jacob, but I do have to say I am prepared today. I do have $1 million song of the week.
I already know it, and I'm not going to steal it. I'll go first then.
Okay.
Mine is "Smile" by Morgan Wallen.
Oh wow!
You listen to that one yet?
What a curveball. Is it new or something?
Very new. Yes.
Very new? I'll go check it out. It might have been the song that he played. He played an unreleased song during the show that we went to in Tampa over the summer, or I guess
probably
October.
It was probably Love Somebody.
It might. I think that probably was what it was then. But you got Smile by Morgan Wallen. I'm going to go Sleep Theory, a band that I've mentioned a couple times in this segment throughout the episodes. But Sleep Theory, song called Paralyzed. That is my $1 Million Radio song choice of the week. It is an absolute banger.
Hell yeah. And like I said, starting the cut today. So we'll give you an update next week. Excuse me. We'll give you an update next week.
What's the goal? Where you at? Where you stand?
Honestly, it's just I want to be able to fit in my pants a little more comfortably again.
Okay. All right. That's not a bad goal.
I think maybe 215.
Where you at now?
240.
240?
I went from 268 to 193.
Dang.
And then I was at 220 for a while, and then after the holidays and all that stuff, I've also been trying to bulk a little bit because I've been working out like crazy. So now I'm at 240. I put on some body fat. Hopefully there's some muscle I've also put on. So now I'm going to cut. Hopefully I can see some of those bicep gains.
Keep in mind, Chad, this guy is 6'6". So, right? Yeah. So he's a big boy. Big boy. He needs to be on the
6'6" at 193.
Look like me.
I was way skinny. I think I was too. I looked okay when I went to the Louder Than Life festival. I didn't rock a shirt or anything. I looked pretty good then, but I also was like probably a little more frail. So now I've bulked up a little bit after just like a year and a half of working out too. So it's a process. I'm trying to keep I'm not trying to be short with my vision, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I guess that'll do it, Jacob. We got a lot to look forward to this week. Go check out Smile by Morgan Wallen as well as Paralyzed by Sleep Theory. I think that'll do it.
See ya.
Any last words?
Nope. See ya. Go Vols.
All right. And that is episode 18, $1 Million Radio, and we'll see you next time. Go Pack Go.